Hey everybody, Mark from Rams Up here, back with another roundtable. I got Ian and Paul with me. How's it going, Paul?
Fantastic. Excited to talk a little Ram football.
Yeah, we got a number of things we're going to talk about here. And how are you doing, Ian?
Yeah, I'm doing good. It's a lot happened this last week, guys. I mean, there's a lot to talk about.
Yeah, a
Good
lot.
and interesting. I'll say
Yeah,
that.
a lot of little things. Little things. No, not really any big news. The big news, I think, is going to come in the next couple weeks.
Yeah, it
Tom
feels that way.
can't join us. He's slammed with some other stuff, so we're going to roll with the just us three. I think we can handle it.
Yeah, I do too.
The first topic, and this is almost bordering on old news, but it was a big deal signing Demarcus Robinson, bringing him into the fold.
Yep.
And so with Demarcus on board, I'll start with you, Paul. Does this change your next mock draft at all?
Yeah, it does a little bit. Yeah, sure. Getting D Rob back in the fold, we know we have our three receivers ready to roll. When we did our last mock, and for those of you out there in Ram Nation, mock draft number 4 is out there. Take a look. But also our special segment on the Apuka power picks, those draft gems that people are overlooking.
And real
Um,
quick, Paul, you called it. Everyone who doesn't know, you called it. You said Puka was going to be a dude and ended up being that dude. Respect. You called that last year.
yeah,
Yeah,
thank you.
any fifth round gem is now just called a puka.
It's just called a puka pick, right? A puka
Yeah.
power pick, right? But we did a whole segment on those type of players that just have that dog in them. We did it based on what was it, pick 100, or they have to be lower than pick 100 in terms of their average draft position. But so definitely take a look at that. But yeah, I think adding another receiver to round out that room. We're going to assume that Trammell's not coming back. Thank goodness. Uh,
Well, I
and
don't know. I don't know, Paul. But he seems to make his way back on the squad
man,
somehow, some way.
he's like that penny that you can't get rid of, right? That always winds up showing up.
True.
But I think D Rob is a quality signing. He's an undervalued receiver. People learned that last year. I think the Rams learned that last year. We definitely have seen a trend that McVey wants to go four wide a little bit more. Definitely wants to push the ball downfield a little bit more. So that 4 WR position for the Rams is going to be huge this year. And whether they go young player through the draft, which I think would be a great idea, there are a lot of players out there, or whether they do a signing, and you never know, something midway through the year. It's happened a couple of years already for the Rams. Somebody makes himself available. Um, I it's just exciting. But to getting D Rob back in the mix was definitely a shout out to the Rams front office for bringing D Rob back.
So I imagine you're pretty happy about it too, Ian.
Yeah, look at guys. Didn't we have this debate like maybe 2 weeks ago about Odell or Demarcus Robinson? And I argued for Demarcus. Not that I would have been opposed to Odell, because we still see the burners he's got. I mean, he killed us in that late December game. He still has a lot of playmaking ability. And that would have been cool to have him back for the right price. Demarcus Robinson, he's only going to get 4 million with $1 million in possible incentives. So 5 million is the top he could get, which is for a starting receiver where 3 wide receivers is the standard now. I think we all agree on that, right? That's the standard for any offense.
Absolutely.
So you have 3 guys who could kill you. And Demarcus Robinson is a guy who could kill you. So to get him for 4 million, 5 million tops, what a great signing. And my argument with the Odell Demarcus thing was that Demarcus blocks really, really good. Okay. That is an important, extremely mega factor in being a receiver in this offense. Think about Cup, Puka, Skoranek. Think about Robert Woods. And then obviously Brandon Cooks couldn't, but he was special in different ways. Sammy Watkins could, but he was special in different ways. Odell couldn't block, but he was special in different ways. If you don't have this elite nature to you, you gotta block. And you can argue that DeMarcus's elite nature is those 50-50 jump ball, insanely contested catches, diving, one hand this way. I mean, think about all the big time throwing catches that him and Stafford had together in that latter part of the season where he finally got his opportunity. I mean, what a bargain. I'm happy. And then, like I said, he can cut some people out of the way in the run game, which is mega important, which unfortunately, that's something that Tutu can't do, even though I think he blocks pretty solid. But DeMarcus is able to bury people, which is important for a Sean McVay 11 personnel offense. So I'm happy. Thank God we got it done, because I would have been a little nervous about not that Tutu can't play, but just that role. Because now think about it, guys. Puka's number one now, and I think we all can agree that he's our best receiver today. Healthy Cup, D-Rob, Tutu, and Skoranek. That's a great 5 deep right there for a wide receiver room, I think. So,
yeah, and I think they add a mid-round receiver.
We're gonna draft people. We're gonna draft some more people. That's just I think receiver, running back, D line and O line. Like, you got to draft that spot as much as possible every draft. I think.
Right.
Do we all agree on that? I feel like that's the case.
Yeah, you never have enough depth at those positions.
Yeah. So the Rams checked one box on their to-do list, basically. So that's good.
Yes, great start.
Yeah, right. Now, the other thing they did the other day is they hired this Sean Desai. And my take on this is, they have a very, very young defensive coordinator. You could argue that he's inexperienced. He's been in the league for a while, but still. And he's been. Is this a case of the Rams surrounding him with some experienced, guys that have been around for a little bit just to help him out, or is it just they just want another smart guy in the room?
Well, from what I've understood from the great Jordan Rodriguez of The Athletic, who covers the Rams really well and gets all the inside scoop, he is going to be working exclusively with the offense. He will have no official role coaching players, coaching on the defense, game planning. He's going to be game planning with our offense.
Oh, okay, so he's going to be presenting. He's going to be like a quality control from a defensive perspective for the offense.
I think his official role was titled Senior Defensive Assistant or Advisor, one of the two. Senior Defensive Assistant or Advisor. I mean, I can double check that real quick, but he's going to be working with the offense in the sense of, hey, we plan on doing this on game day. Hey, Desai, how would you try to counteract that if this is something that happens in game? Or how would you defend us if you were the San Francisco 49ers? Just getting a defensive-minded person's opinion to help out our offense. And I think that's okay, because look it. I have friends that are Eagles fans. I've seen you Eagles internet, Twitter, Instagram. You guys laughed your asses off pretty good when we made this hire not too long ago. And even I was like, I don't know how I feel about this, because look it. He was somebody who coached for a long time, college ranks, at least 10 plus years. Good for him. He is one of the first Indian, heritage defensive coordinators, big time coordinators in the NFL. Good for him as well. But his time as defensive coordinator, the Chicago Bears, he was his team was, or his defensive unit was ranked 22nd out of 32 for points given up. That's not good. This is not good. You're bottom half of the league. But his team was in the top 6 of best yards given up, the least, I should say. So that's cool, but they gave up a lot of points. Then we fast forward to his second stint in Philadelphia, which was a disaster. Let's just call it what it is. It was a disaster. For that team to be that talented, to come off a Super Bowl and underperform that badly, check it out. And I know that he was let go of his duties about, the third quarter-ish way through the season, if you want to think of it that way, 3/4 through the way of the season. And that's not good in general. And the word on the street, based off Philadelphia insider people, was that once he got let go of play calling duties, that they didn't even let him in defensive meetings a majority of the season. I mean, damn, Nick Sirianni in Philly, like, what the hell happened, man? And there were some players that have came out and said that he lacked confidence and all that. So, real quick, and I'll let you go, Mark. I just want to share these stats. His team, and obviously Patricia took over and it got worse. Who saw that coming? They were ranked 26th in yards given up, which is bottom of the league almost. And they were 30th in points given up, which is 3 from last, or a couple of places away from last place in terms of points given up. So it was a disaster for the amount of good players that they had. So in this role with us, long story short, I'm happy that he has nothing to do with our defense, and we're not going to get that stain on Chris Joler's first time around calling plays. Let's just be honest about it. I'm happy about that. help out Sean, give him new ideas, maybe things he hasn't thought about, because he is from a 4-3 style of coaching. We run a 3-4. It's completely different, everybody, not the same. So I think that'll be good for Sean and his knowledge. But stay away from our defense, which is happening. I'm happy.
Yeah, before I let Paul go, I was just going to say that I've heard some stories coming out of Philadelphia that there is some really strange stuff going on in that clubhouse among the coaches and the players that really contributed to derailing that team. Not good stuff, stuff that can really poison a team, and I think that's what happened. What say you, Paul, about this? Oh, go ahead.
Real quick, one more time. Think about it. He got let go of his duties, and they weren't letting him in the defensive meetings.
Yeah.
What? Just fire the guy and say, see you later. I mean, what are we doing? Anyway, that's just crazy.
What say you, Paul?
Yeah, it's an interesting move, and in the way he's going to be utilized more of, like you said, a consultant, really to help the offense sort of game plan, right? How would somebody, approach this? How would somebody approach that? What's the counter reaction by the offense, perhaps something of that nature? So, I mean, it is a curious move, to be honest with you. By the way, he does have his doctorate in educational administration, so Dr. Desai, right? At Temple, I think he got it from Temple. But what's interesting is that if you think of all the names that were out there, right? Why settle on him, right? And one of the things that I texted Ian was like, he does have a connection to Khalil Mack in a way, right? Also, from the days of when he was at the Bears, so maybe that was one of the reasons. But it's interesting that they brought him in as opposed to everybody else that was out there. But listen, look, football mind is a football mind. Different perspective is a different perspective, right? McVey said that in a lot of different ways. But if you see what McVey is doing, and apart from the Desai move, is that basically bringing people on, people that he's comfortable with, people that he has some background on, right? People who might be bringing a unique sort of skill set and giving them very, very specific roles. That's what he's doing. And I think what he's trying to do is just look at sort of that whole coaching sphere in its entirety and saying, all right, creating these digestible slices that he can take off his plate, right? And giving them to people that are able to, I guess, if you want to say, handle that particular assignment. So he can really focus on what he needs to do. And I think the move we had talked about last time when he hired Coach Stretch, that to handle things like game management and timeout, it's like it speaks volumes. He's like, look, we got to get better at certain things. He's like, I want to get back to doing what I do best, right? And I think that's a real positive, right? It's a real the guy's a dynamo. There's no question about it. But you can only be in so many places. And when a head coach starts to delegate like this, it's a mark of a coach that's really ascending, and it's the mark of a championship caliber type of organization. I think Belichick did that. I don't think he gets recognized a lot. He did a really nice job. Look how many times he brought back certain coordinators over and over and over again, and look how many coordinators he developed from within, from like lower positions, moved them right up the ladder. So, I think I agree with Ian. This is definitely a curious person to bring on. But look, they found a role for him. Who knows? There might be some other things in the works. I don't think I'm all in on the Khalil Mack. I think the Mack attack in Royal and Seoul, I definitely think this had something to do with it. I don't think you could pull Sean Desai out of the scrap heap for no reason because you want him to be a consultant. There has to be something involved in that. But I think the Rams are also going to bring in like one or two more consultant types. I really do. I think they've had a lot of success with it. We all know about a latter part of last year when they were talking about that for the O-line. So I think they're going to bring in, another one or two type of scenarios like this.
Yeah, and worth mentioning that he did spend, I think, at least 1 year in Seattle as well. I'm not sure what his role there was in between the Bears and the Eagles, I think.
Yep, and he had 1 year as quality control previously. I think if it wasn't, I think it might have been with Chicago. Or actually, it might have been with Seattle. You might have been right. That might have been
Right.
the year with quality control.
Okay, let's move on to this next topic, and that is the new salary cap. Man, talk about a bump.
Woohoo!
It was crazy. I mean, you look at the history of the salary cap over the last 30, 40 years, maybe not that long, 30 years or so, and it's pretty incredible. And I'm kind of torn on this. It's obviously, your first reaction is, hey, Rams even have more money to go out and spend. But there's the other side of it. I don't know, maybe I'm being pessimistic here. There are some of our rivals that are really up against it on the salary cap, and now they have a little bit of room. But just something to bear in mind, everybody gets the extra money is what I'm saying. And some of the teams that had no money to spend, now they do have a little bit to spend. But how do you feel about the new salary cap, and what do you think? Does this change the Rams' strategy? Maybe make them a little more aggressive, Ian?
Oh, you bet your behind that's the case, everybody. And look at to everybody saying, "Oh my God, we have so much money." Okay, let's take a step back and realize that approximately $12 million of everyone's available salary cap space has to be dedicated to the draft picks, the college kids that every team is going to draft. It's maybe some more, some a little bit less, but let's just say that $12 million range is where that money is going to be spent towards your rookies. And that's the case for every team. Okay. So whatever that number is for us, other teams that you might like, other teams that you hope have no money, 12 million of that's got to go to the rookies. So San Fran, I know you're in a hole. 12 million, we can cut that off, right? And Seattle. And shout out to the Buffalo Bills, whose GM said we didn't want to be in cap hell about a season and a half ago. And they're currently ranked 32nd bottom of the barrel in terms of cap space.
So
Funny how that worked out.
Aren't they 75 million? Is it 75 or
I mean,
50 million?
They're deep in the hole. So ain't that funny how that works, gentlemen?
Yeah.
Anyway, but in terms of the benefit for us, I mean, look it. Les Snead, Sean McVey, Tony Pastors, Kevin Demoff, all were at an event last night for the season ticket members out at the YouTube theater that's attached to SoFi Stadium. I saw some clips from some friends from World Tour Rams. Shout out to that booster club. We've had great times together going to games and watch parties. They were doing some secretive videos to show people who could not be there what was going on and what the interviews and the live show was about. And all four are big boys in the organization that I named. They all said, hey, every avenue is available to us to be able to acquire players. The money is there. Tony Pastore says, well, I know we have our number. Everybody has an idea, but there's more because, he'll rework that cap to absorb as many great players as possible. Even Les Snead said the same thing, Sean, Kevin. So this is a great thing for us. And it plays into my super mega fantasy dream scenario of Daniil Hunter and Khalil Mack being teamed up with us, right? That's some more money to sign a Hunter, sign a Mack, to get a Snead, to trade for a Burns, maybe to trade for a Josh Allen, to do anything you want to do and still re-sign Kevin Dotson, one of the best guards in football, and still acquire other good veterans. So I think it's great. I think it's great that the NFL is king in this country, is starting to overtake a lot of the world sports in a great way. And with all that, and probably Taylor Swift and her Swifties probably added some of those millions to everyone's pockets, just to be honest about it. I'm thankful. And it's going to benefit us greatly when free agency hits very, very soon. So happy about that.
How about you, Paul? How you feel about it? What's your vibe with the new salary cap, and what are the Rams are going to do with it?
Yeah, well, I think it's a couple of things. The salary cap space is because salaries are going up as well. So, the average player makes every year goes up, especially, think about some of the salary projections right now. They're just off the charts. Akel Weatherspoon, being projected at 11 million. That's, hey, look, he did well for us, but 11 million, that's a steep number right there. So if you think about it, putting the draft allocation to the side for a moment, it's very significant for us because particularly with, the key free agent signing being Dotson, right, which just has to happen. and I think people are looking at it the wrong way. They're looking at it from the salary perspective. I understand that part of it, but you have to understand, like, you can't go into a season saying we want to win it all and be like, yeah, but I don't want to win it with my best players. Doesn't make sense. The way you win a championship is with your best players. You got to find the best players and bring them in. You know, so I mean, let's go back to D-Rob for a second. For a wide receiver 3 position, right? We know our team plays the 11. He's on the field all the time. So think about that. He's a starter. You got a starter at a number, right? We said with incentives a 5 million hit. That's a luxury that a lot of teams can't even, fathom. With the ability of bringing in a 4 WR that might be off the charts. Who knows, right? Yeah. You do like they did a couple of years ago. Wait until halfway through the season and say, all right, now let's go bring in like an Odell Beckham or somebody like that. Who knows, right? So I think the way you have to look at it is, and Mark and I were laughing, right, when Mark got the update about the salary increase. We were like, oh, the phone is ringing right now. Hey, Kevin, did I catch you at a bad time? This is less, let's talk contract. So every little bit is going to help the Rams. I think the Rams have to be smart about what they do, right? You want to build from from a position of strength, which is what they have. They have an opportunity here. The window is open, go out, get Dotson, get some other players that fit your system. Listen, there are going to be a lot of people chasing a ring this year. I'm telling you, there are going to be a lot of people chasing a ring. If they are smart as an organization from a geography standpoint, right? We said, listen, when the opportunity presents itself, snatch it. Do not make the same mistake twice. The Rams have made big mistakes when it comes to personnel over the last 2 years. They have. Yeah, they have not pulled the trigger when that opportunity presented itself. And they cannot make that mistake again this year. If the opportunity presents itself, a la Mac, listen, he's already in LA. He wants to stay in LA, right? You got to be hyper aggressive. Listen, you have to be. Listen, for every time the Rams call that number, there are how many other teams calling that number? It's just a reality. Yeah. So the Rams have to flex right now. They got to flex their muscles from a personnel standpoint.
And real quick, Mark, I just want to share this before we continue this conversation. So we're 12th in the entire league right now with the total cap space. But for all the teams that made the playoff tournament this past season, we're ranked number 4 out of all those teams in terms of cap space. What a great spot to be in. Crazy.
Yeah. And the other thing that we have to remember, and I harp on this over and over and over again, if you look at in the NFC specifically, the quarterback situation in the NFC, how many NFC teams that are chasing a ring that have a quarterback with 3 minutes left in the NFC Championship game, you're just so confident that they can get it done. And there's maybe 2 or 3, Stafford and Hurts.
Okay. I can't put Hurts in that category.
Yeah,
I can't.
Yeah. Is it just Stafford? Stafford? Maybe it's just Stafford.
Look, I would trust Baker over Hurts. I would trust. I can't trust Dak. I can't. Maybe Purdy because he's been a good starter. Let's just keep it real.
But none of them in that situation. It's Stafford number 1, right?
Yeah, Geno Smith. No. Who else you want to go down?
Justin Fields, Kyler Murray.
Goff has been good. Okay.
Yeah.
But
they're good quarterbacks. There are good quarterbacks in the conference, but none of them have what Stafford has. Is all I'm saying. And
that's the way to say that. I think that is the way you start that discussion. Is that, listen, you have Stafford. Act like you have Stafford.
Right.
That's the issue. No, and listen, this is a Rams podcast, so we have to keep it 100, right? We're going to keep it C-note. Listen, the Rams have given up on 2 seasons back to back. They gave up on 22, right? They gave up last year, and it was, it turned out that, holy cow, look at what we've discovered, right? They did not go into that season thinking that they were going for it. So, as much as we're saying, all right, let's start getting to the championship mindset, It's hard to do that when you've had 2 years of like, all right, let's call it a day mindset. So this is not going to be an easy shift. So you have to bring, even more importantly, right? They have to start talking about, let's remind ourselves where we're at. Think about what we have.
Yeah.
We have Stafford. We have Iron Kyron. We have King Cup. We have Puka. Right off the bat, we have 4. How many teams? Let's start right now in the NFC can say that. Now, immediately, right? There you go. The pack gets smaller, and that has to be the mindset in that locker room.
And you didn't even mention Aaron Donald.
And absolutely.
I mean, that's yeah.
I'm focusing more.
Hey, let me share this with you before we move on, because related to the salary cap, I started working on a list of the things the Rams need to get done before opening day, and it's not really ready for prime time, but I think the top 3. See if you guys agree with me, and they're all salary cap expenditures. They're all money items as opposed to draft. And number 1 is Kevin Dotson or a similar player.
No question.
I mean, there's other guys out there that would fill the bill. Dotson would be first choice, though. The second thing is a number 1 cornerback. We need to find ourselves a number 1. We can't hope to draft a number 1 cornerback. I think we need to go sign one. I mean, feel free to disagree. And the third thing is a surefire, proven edge rusher, and that's kind of the 3 things we've talked about.
I think that and the Dotson is 1A, 1B, depending on which side of the ball you like more, or what you value. I mean, that edge rusher spot's incredibly important, and I'm gonna keep mentioning it until it comes to existence. Give me the Mac Hunter combo. Dang it! Come on, figure it out.
That's exactly right. We talked about it last time. Is the Mac Hunter scenario that far out of the realm of possibility? To me, it seems like
not anymore.
Right there.
Well, again, you have to. So the high prize, as we like to call them, are the guard, the cornerback, and the edge rusher. Yeah. Before you start talking about a second edge rusher, I don't know. That would be it. We also have to worry about the safety, a backup quarterback, a kicker. Some other things, but maybe our next left tackle. But those are the top. I think we all agree in the top 3, though: a guard, cornerback, edge rusher, and then you guys both want a second edge rusher as well on top of that.
Yep, that's my dream scenario because the salary cap. Let's do it. And Tony Pastore's that magic cap man knows how to push money away to be able to acquire more people. I mean, think about it.
We'll deal with that down the road.
Think about it. Think about it real quick. In the 21 championship, we started out the year with Leonard Floyd, who we paid. Right. We started out with Justin Hollins, who was playing really good before he tore the pec. Then we had Obo Okoronkwo rotating in, and then we had Terrell Lewis. That was a good group of 4 right there. And then we said, hey, Denver, we'll give you a couple picks for Hall of Fame level Von Miller, who played like a Hall of Famer the last time he was in blue and gold, blue and yellow. Yeah. So we had 5 guys. So we had a Pro Bowl level player, a Hall of Famer starting. We had someone who was starting level until he tore his pec. We had a starting level player, Obo, who starts for Cleveland, by the way. And then we had Terrell Lewis, who had moments where you're like, oh my God, this guy's really good. So we had 5 guys. Yeah. So why not Khalil Mack? Why not Danielle Hunter? And then have Byron Young and Michael Hoyt rotate in with maybe somebody else we draft. That's what it takes to win a championship. You need multiple guys to get after the quarterback. So anyway, I'll stop on that dream scenario. I'm just trying to talk into existence, as you can see.
No, it's a good discussion. That's the fun stuff. We could spend a whole roundtable on.
And what
on
about
this.
the mid-tier veterans now that you can bring on too?
Yeah,
to really strengthen your roster. From like, if you want to say, the center of your roster up. So that's another thing that the Rams have done really, really well if you want to take a look at what they did in 22, even though we had a rough season, but 21, 22, even 2020, they did a really nice job of bringing in those mid-tier vets to really strengthen their roster. And I think that's something to keep an eye out for. Listen, look, Coleman is not a high-profile player for a lot of people, right? For us, it is because we're Ram fans. But from the outside, think about it. But that does speak to what we're talking about. The Rams do not see that just because he's sort of, in that sort of mid-range, right? For a lot of people, for us, he's not. Because, listen, The continuity, listen, we won with him at center. We can continue to win with him at center. But the continuity, the savings in terms of salary cap just it's like priceless for us as a team. And it's really bear its weight in gold when you start bringing in these high profile players.
Yeah, and I think Big Rob made some comments at the end of the season about how important Coleman Shelton was.
Multiple players have made comments about that before he was even signed.
Yeah.
So smart move by the front office.
It's something you don't really see on tape, unless you watch real closely, maybe.
Hey, I'm an all-22 guy. Don't worry. Coleman, look at shout out to people don't realize this. Coleman Shelton's from Los Angeles. I don't think fans realize that until you look it up. Look at man, he's a Pasadena kid. I know you say, "Oh, that's more North Mounts." That's still Los Angeles, people.
Oh yeah.
He went to Loyola High School, which is in the downtown area. I mean, that doesn't get any more LA than that.
Yeah, you can jump on. You can jump on it. Is it the 10 or the 2 and be in downtown in a jiffy?
42 forever, baby. Jackie Robinson went to school out of Pasadena.
Yeah. Shoot.
Okay, next subject, and Brian Allen cut. We kind of all saw this coming. I was kind of sad to see him go. He was very. I'd never forget that draft call. I don't know if you remember that. Les Snead calling Brian Allen. Do you guys remember that? And he was. I don't remember now. He was out in the woods, and it was like pretty cold in Michigan somewhere, and he was out in the woods and had a fire going or something. And he was like, "Yep, just out here, got a fire going." Well, okay, well, we just drafted you, and it was just a real interesting scenario. But I think he was a really likable guy, and he played hard and fought through a lot of injuries, and it just wasn't in the cards anymore. But I guess we weren't really too surprised. The real question is the other shoe about to drop with Note Boom? What do you think, Paul? Do you think everybody seems every Rams chat room I've ventured into, every discussion I've seen on this subject, Ram fans seem to be expecting him to be gone or kind of hoping that he's gone.
Watch the sparks fly when you go into any of those rooms and mention his name. Holy cow, right?
Yeah.
Listen, but these are the tough decisions that have to be made, right? And for a lot of different reasons. I personally, I mean, listen, I'm with you, man. I felt terrible when Brian Allen got cut. We saw it coming, right? He's a great player to have on the team. He's a great story. Who knows? Maybe, hey, I always say karma happens for a reason, Listen, you never know, somewhere down the line, maybe this season even, right? He winds up back on the Rams at a reduced number, right? What made him expendable was that number, right? But bottom line is, hopefully he'll wind up back with us because he's Ramley through and through. He's a blue collar player. He gave it all for the Rams. Stafford loves him, by the way. They're tight as can be. So you never know. He might find his way back on the Rams roster, but at a reduced number. Note Boom is an interesting scenario. Look, whether to keep him, whether or not to keep him. Listen, sometimes you have to think with up here and not so much down here. And Note Boom is that. So what should be done? I don't really know, right? Because of multiple reasons. Here's what I do know. If you cut Note Boom, you have very little depth at tackle. Very little. That's the bottom line. Zero. Yeah. I mean, listen, AJ Curry, listen, we all have a thumbs up that he can do it, but do we really want to roll in that direction if we have to? But
no.
So that's the issue. That is the issue. Now, the Rams might have other plans with that money. They said we're going to bring in tackles anyway, right? We're going to build depth in another format. That's okay. Note Boom's play when he's on is not as bad as people are making out. However, when he has a bad game, he has a bad game. Holy cow, right? Like when he's not on, he has a bad game. But when he's in there, and sometimes the other thing for me is, listen, they got to keep Stafford healthy. Whatever they decide, it has to be a cohesive unit, and you have to be at least 7 quality O-line deep. That's my opinion, right? It is very hard to get through an NFL season with just 5 linemen. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. You're very, very lucky if no one on your O-line gets hurt for a significant amount of time. So that's the way you really have to approach it. So am I advocating for keeping him? No. What I'm saying is You got to look at it from this perspective. You cannot go with such little tackle depth through an entire NFL season. Now, the Teron Smith scenario, which is floating around, makes a lot of sense. But once again, do the numbers add up? That's the other key. And you just, Teron Smith is not the answer by himself, because why? Look at his injury history. So for a lot of people that are saying get rid of Noteboom, their solution is always to bring in a player who's just as off injured as the guy you're cutting.
Yeah, it's a case of be careful what you ask for. What about you, Ian? Are you team Noteboom?
Yeah, I mean, the problem is the cap charge, right? I think we all agree that we gave him the money to be the starter, and he got his job beat out. Same like Brian Allen. And real quick, before I jump to the Noteboom, I just want to shout out Brian Allen for being a Super Bowl starting center and playing his first 4 years on an unguaranteed contract. I mean, that's pretty crazy if you think about it. For him to be drafted incredibly late, for him to play every year where you had no money secured, and then for him to start and be a Super Bowl champion center. Shout out to him. And and look,
steady player, rock steady.
And real quick to why he lost the job, guys. We switched schemes. He was solid in a zone blocking scheme, which is more area blocking. Long story short, Coleman Shelton was a better gap scheme center, or is a better gap scheme center, because you have you have a direct area or a person you have to block in a more aggressive downhill style, and he's just better than Brian Allen, which is why he lost his job. And again, kudos to him. I hope he's back on a cheaper deal, if that's even possible, because he wasn't getting a ton of money anyway. And look, we're going to eat $3 million-ish in dead money, but we're going to save about $5 million. And what happened? That $5 million we flipped to re-signing Demarcus Robinson. So it all kind of worked out in general. But to your new Noteboom point, it's the cap charge. It's the money. We gave him starting left tackle money, and he's not a starting left tackle for us right now, right? Alaric Jackson beat him out, and I'm all for best man win the job. But unless Tony Pastores can figure out a way to, rearrange that cap charge, which is possible, but again, we'll just be pushing it farther down the road. And do they want to do that again? Does the team want that? Does Tony Pastores, does Noteboom want that? I mean, I can't imagine that Noteboom's going to agree to a pay cut, because look, it's hard in the NFL, the not for long league, to get as much money as possible. So I don't think he's going to take less money. So I just think it's either going to be a workaround by Tony, or they're going to cut him. And it either or is kind of rough for now or the future, but we'll see what happens. Because
I think I see Paul's concern is if we cut him, and we're kind of back in the same situation with the left tackle depth wise, and how good is Alaric Jackson? He's pretty good. Is that the offensive line that's going to take you to a Super Bowl without Noteboom backing him up? Just you'll have Alaric Jackson, Steve Avila, maybe Coleman Shelton. Let's say it's Shelton, Dotson, and Havenstein. I think it's not no improvement, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think if they sign Dotson, Noteboom's gone. I think if they sign Dotson, it just doesn't. The numbers don't add up, unfortunately. But then the Rams have to really pay attention to bringing in, a lot of guys we've talked about, veteran guys, to really shore up that O-line from a depth standpoint. And I don't think that's a bad move, tell you honestly.
Yeah, I'm wondering if they I think they're going to draft with the draft players are going to help them win now. But the one exception could be left tackle. I could see them drafting a left tackle early.
And real quick, gentlemen, and this is the issue. I have the numbers in front of me. His cap number is $20 million for this upcoming season.
That's huge.
If we cut him, we're only saving $5 million. So is that is that cutting him off the team, saying see you later? Is that really worth it for $5 million?
For two positions. For two positions that he covers, guard and tackle.
Yeah. And is that, and if we trade him, it's the same charge. We're still going to take on $15 million in dead money, and we're only going to be saving $5 million.
It seems to me, Yeah, you might as well wait until June 1st after the draft, in my opinion. But
This
hey,
might be one of those scenarios where, you have to it's a bad contract no matter how you look at it because he's not a starter, right? This might be a scenario where you got to let him play through the contract, man, because what he's bringing you in covering two areas might come out to be a push in terms of what you're bringing in.
well,
One thing in the Rams' favor is this, and we talked about it: center and guard in the draft, right? And last time when Mark and I were doing the draft picks and everything else, is that we sort of bounced that around, and that's my belief. Is that is one area that if you draft high in the draft is going to save you a lot of money. If you bring in two, so let's take a couple of names, right? Everybody knows how much I like JPJ. I also like the kid from West Virginia, Frazier. You bring those guys in who could play guard and tackle. There were a couple of other guys we talked about. Yeah, we talked about BB even, right? These guys could play from day one. So even if they were your depth, they're coming in on a rookie deal. You got that deal for 4 years, right? 3 or 4 years you got that deal. It's going to save you a ton of money. And if push comes to shove and they have to play, you're going to be okay. These guys can play. So the draft, particularly for interior alignment, center guard scenario, tackle's a whole different story. But center guard scenario, you can cover yourself in the draft. So signing Dotson and then playing the certain picks in the draft to cover your center and guard scenario, I think is a very cost-effective play.
and Noteboom, can he not play 4 positions on the offensive line?
He has.
Yeah. So there's that.
So yeah, I mean, I think we just talked it through the scenario of he's probably gonna stick around. The savings is not worth the cut, really, right? I mean, that's just for his value and how he is a starting level player. I think we all can agree on that.
Yeah,
he's just not good enough for this team, unfortunately. But he's going to be valuable, man. He's gonna play this year. Let's just be real about it.
Yeah,
he's going to play important snaps for some time this season if he stays.
Yeah, if Alaric Jackson limps off late in the first half, do you want Zach Thomas or Joseph Noteboom coming out?
Mark, never say that again, Mark.
Sorry, Mr. and Mrs. Thomas.
The Monday night flashbacks.
Well, our next subject was going to be Coleman Shelton, but we've kind of already covered that. We want him re-signed. We hope that happens. And apparently the Rams are making are trying to make headway in that regard. Any additional comments on Coleman Shelton at this point, Ian, or do you think we've talked that through enough?
Well, I mean, hey, he's a good blocker in the gap scheme, right? That's why Brian Allen's no longer on the squad. And he's going to be at an affordable price for a starting level center. Let's just make it happen, Rams. And Sean McVay's already said, hey, we're working through it. We want him back. I want him back. So I assume it's going to happen. LA native, Pasadena kid, Loyola High School, football player. Come on. The hometown center is probably going to stick around. Hey.
Yeah, and Paul's really getting me excited about a lot of these interior offensive linemen in the draft, and I'd love to grab one of these. BB, the Oregon State guy, Powers Johnson. There's a couple of others.
Frazier, you got Bo Limmer, you have a lot of really good guards. We talked about the kid from Texas A&M, the later round pick that I like. Listen, the NCAA. You got to look you got to look how college football is sort of evolving as well. They're doing a great job of developing, for whatever reason, the interior linemen are light years ahead of the tackles that are coming out in the draft for the last couple of years. For obvious reasons, right? And you got to you have to know what's at your disposal. It's a nice way, like I said, it's a nice way to bring those rookie contracts to really offset the money you're spending on the O-line. Listen, you have to spend on the O-line. This is not like 20 years ago where guards were getting, a significantly lower number. Veteran guards in the NFL that can pass block are going to get paid. If you're not going to pay them, another championship team will. Do not make that mistake again that they did with Corbett. Do not make that mistake again. Your entire right side of your offensive line is done. If they sign Coleman and Dotson, check, check, check. There it is. You got Avila, check.
And then I know Lark's a restricted free agent too, right?
Yeah,
Lark.
he's
I mean,
right.
I
He's not
expect him to
going.
be back too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's not going
Yeah.
anywhere. They're bringing him back. Listen, theoretically, you have your 5. You could only get better. You want to bring in Teron Smith for some competition? Listen, Alaric. I think people are sleeping on Alaric Jackson. Listen, this guy openly said, "Open it up to competition. I will be the starter." That's what he said.
I know.
He said, "Stop rolling out all these guys that can't play on Sunday, and you got me watching from the bench." Listen, this is the kind of nasty you want out there. I think people are sleeping on this guy. He's not going to give up that left tackle spot so easily. But having that luxury of bringing him back at an RFA number, you're not going to have that luxury much longer, right?
No.
He has another great season. You're in trouble. This dude's going to get a lot of money. So you got to be careful with that. Look at what you have. Bring back all 5 of your guys. Build quality depth. Be patient. Other players are going to come out, whether it's free agency, whether it's cuts. We still got our June cuts coming. June cuts are always my favorite because there are a lot of juicy players come out, right, that we can use. So there's going to be opportunity there, but you got to start by bringing back your core 5.
Yeah, I think they're on the right track. Okay, on to the next one, and the next topic here. It's interesting. You guys wanted to talk about this, and I have to be quite frank. I'm not sure how meaningful this is. Sean McVey being added to the competition committee. Is it something Ram fans should be paying attention to, Ian?
Well, I would say yes, in the respect of how will Sean McVay's influence help the game in a positive way on this committee. Now, the competition committee consists of coaches, head coaches, front office executives, obviously the league office members, and some head referees, if I'm not mistaken. And they meet, I think, at least 2 or 3 times a year in person. I think the other times are, Zoom, StreamYard, and others. But they discuss all the BS we see on Sundays, good and bad. And I think it'll help the game, help the Rams in the sense of, hey, do you remember that middle of the year game against the Steelers when the refs completely spotted the ball in the worst spot possible on the failed Kenny Pickett quarterback sneak? Hey, do you remember that? How about instead of human eyes making that final call, how about we get the booth upstairs to make that final call? How about we have a sky judge to make that call? I'm sure that will be something Sean McVay pushes for heavily. And I think that's something that most head coaches and anybody that's rooting for their team to have the right calls on the field be in their favor would want, right?
It just occurred to me if Kyle Shanahan was on the competition committee, he probably would have known about the overtime rule, huh?
Well, I think you are right, my friend. And luckily, I think Sean McVay's pretty self-aware in his flaws, where he said jokingly on his in new season press conference reporter, he's like, "Hey, I guess being on this committee will help me not screw up my timeout so early in games." So at least the man is self-aware. Everybody, he's self-aware. So. Yeah. And like I said, the refereeing, sky judge is one scenario, but those are things that are purposely brought up by coaches, executives to figure out, hey, how do we make the game better and flow better, and how do we have a better product? So I think for that reason, for other reasons that we can all kind of, bounce off each other and other things that we may not think of, it's going to benefit the Rams because our guy is in those meetings and will be in those meetings for quite some time to advance the game, to make it better for the NFL and for Rams football. So I think it's good that he's a part of it because all these important little discussions that people don't think of until your team is screwed over in some weird way, it's important. And I think that's why Rams fans should care, so we can get things straightened out on game day. No more BS stuff happening.
Anything to add, Paul?
No, I think, I think the addition of Sean McVay, it makes a lot of sense. He's a young coach. He's an innovative coach. He's a forward thinker. The NFL does at times have sort of an archaic approach to certain aspects of the game. We've seen that, right? But it also, and we're talking about the timeout scenario. the overtime scenario in the show, which I still don't believe. I cannot believe, honestly. I know they have the sound bites of players and coaches not knowing the rules. I'm like, how is that even possible? But
Yeah.
I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt that they did know the rules. But if they didn't, this is the reason that the McVey being on the committee is such a big deal. I think the game is evolving so quickly, right? Just naturally, just happens organically. The game is evolving so quickly, and that you need to have this type of approach to sort of keep up with it, right? Like remember when it wasn't too long ago where when they went back to what was it, the which was a rule I love, the automatic reviews. I thought that was probably one of the smartest things the NFL ever did, right, for scoring plays and things of that nature. So I think that was a great move. That's a great illustrative example. So I think I agree with what Sean McVay said. That's a great honor that they selected him. I think the reason that they did select him was I do think he's a young, innovative coach who's had some success. He's also very even keel. I could see him in that room, sort of being productive in his discussions, and not being only like coach centric. So, I think it's great for the game of football. I think the game is evolving, and I think, like, for example, we all joke about it. If you really want to, if throw away all the classic IQ tests and ask just anybody one question. Give me the definition of a catch by NFL rules. That would be like a classic IQ test right now, because I don't think anybody could answer that question, right?
Jeez.
It's so bizarre.
No.
But getting input from, a coach, I think an NFL coach who, like I said, is bright, innovative, and on the cutting edge of things, I think was a really great move. And I think that's an example of how it's going to help the game progress.
Speaking of rules for a second, did you guys hear the proposal that they're at least considering, I think, about changing the kickoffs? Did you guys hear that? Changing the kickoffs yet again?
They want to go to the XFL style, correct?
Right.
Is that the goal? So
Right.
let's get this. Let's walk through this as fast as possible here. So the XFL, which I think has done a lot of cool things. I think some of their camera angles were cool. I think some of their just the way it's played. I think it's enjoyable. And I think, when does that league start, by the way? That XFL, USF, or whatever it was, UFL merger. That starts
spring.
soon,
It's
right?
supposed to be in the spring, right?
Yeah, that's pretty soon, right? So, hey, right on. But real quick, I think to kind of bring that all together of what the XFL kickoff rules are is that the kicker is by himself very far away from the rest of the kickoff team, right? Isn't it like 25 yards?
I think they're on the opposing team. I think they're on the opposing team's 35.
Yeah, that's pretty hard. It's pretty hardcore, honestly. And the point is that until the player catches, or the return man catches it, that's when the opposing kickoff team can take off. Is that correct?
So it reduces collisions, speed of collisions.
And then, I mean, think about it, guys. Think about how many kickoffs were not returned this year because of like, hey, I'll just fair catch it and we'll start at the 25. I get that from a scheme and advantage standpoint, but for the pure entertainment, the pure joy of that side of football special teams, for all the punters out there who are in the Hall of Fame, for all the kickers, the kick returners who have made their names, made their money. I mean, Devin Hess is a Hall of Famer just for returning kicks, right? Cordell Patterson is a household name for returning kicks. We can think of other guys. For that to have been taken away based upon the set of rules that have been in place, it's a shame. So I think maybe the XFL style will help more kicks be returned, which will be better for football.
My first question, and maybe I haven't thought it through very well, and I don't watch the XFL, maybe I should. How do onside kicks work?
I don't know. I would assume it would be the normal positions, right? And we're just kind of all aware, like, hey, that's what's happening.
But if you're the kicking team is in the other team's on the other side of the 50, I don't know. I'll have to see it. I'm sure there's an answer. That's something I'll have an answer for you next roundtable. Never ask questions you don't know the answer to, I guess, is the key there. I just couldn't figure out in my head how onside kicks will work. And hey, if anybody watching this knows how you do how onside kicks in the XFL work, let us know. Maybe there's some videos out there of onside kicks. I don't know. It just seems in my head, it just seems bizarre how you could even execute an onside kick with the way those players are aligned. How would you feel about that kickoff situation? Paul, it's going to make, like Ian says, it's going to improve the entertainment value of the kickoffs, because the kickoffs, right, you can basically leave the room at this point.
Yeah, special teams has definitely been impacted by the rules. If you think about the number of extra points that have been missed since they moved back, it's not a gimme anymore, right? Think about that. That's been exciting, right? So there you go, a direct impact by a rule change on special teams. But yeah, the concussion scenario on kickoffs, we don't see the wedge busters anymore and everything else, right? I mean, those were some violent collisions. You know what? I think kickoffs, to me, if there is an area of football where if they want to take the safe route, I'm okay with it because of the number of injuries, would be on kickoffs, right? I would like it. The fair catch idea I thought was a great idea. I said, listen, if people are just going to kick it out of the end zone anyway, let's just fair catch it. Let's get a start. Things that maybe now it might be like, if you don't kick it off in the end zone and somebody fair catches it, maybe move that up 5 yards, right? To really encourage teams to really have a place kicker. Because what are we starting to see now? Place kickers getting a little shakier, right? That position getting a little shakier, getting devalued. Listen, hey, look, move that part. If you fair catch it, if it's in the field of play, we'll put you up 5 yards. So you're not penalizing the offense. That might be a way, in my opinion, that might be a smart way to get it. So forcing people to have quality place kickers and guys that are going to boot it out of the end zone with consistency. All right. So that, and I'm only thinking about that because this scenario with the extra points, how many extra points have been missed since they moved that back to a legitimate kick range? But I think, special teams has definitely taken a hit. There are teams that don't even, like the Rams, they don't even try to return punts anymore. They just want to fair catch. They just take the safe way out.
Yeah, the new rules they've been playing by, actually, from a Rams fan's perspective, hasn't hurt us because our return teams have been so bad. Yeah. I'm almost happy to see Trammell back there making a fair catch. And at least we don't avoid the disaster.
Special teams right now is just, the whole concept is just permeated with the fear of injury. Everything is the fear of injury. We'd rather have these players available to us on offense and defense rather than lose them on special teams. But still, the third phase, right? I think slowly what we're starting to see is the third phase is becoming somewhat of a. I mean, it'll always be relevant. The Rams lost a game on the third phase against Baltimore. We saw that.
Right? And I think if we think back, Kyron Williams, rookie year, hurt on special teams.
Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, Tutu Atwell, I think it was his rookie year, hurt on special teams as well, returning a punt, right? So there you go. And Kyron more than Tutu, but two valuable players. And, we don't need them out there for special teams anymore. Hey, let's close out with a fun topic. We're going to talk secondary. We should probably say that for another time because that's going to be a long discussion. I know Paul's going to want to talk about a bunch of guys in the draft, free agents, safeties, and cornerbacks. But so, Ian, is this Hermosa Beach draft party on? I heard it on something. I heard a blurb on the radio a couple of weeks ago, and the Rams were negotiating, if that's the word, with the city of Hermosa Beach to get this done. It is a deal?
Sounds like a deal to me based off Kevin Demoff's comments yesterday at the season ticket fan event. Again, I was not there. I do not have season tickets. That will be the goal very soon, hopefully. But based off, like I stated earlier in the pod, I got some buddies there doing some deep Rams, reconnaissance on their phones, right? And revealing some of the things that were said. And again, it's not top secret or stuff like that. But Kevin said that is the plan, to have a official draft party for first round and the sequential days after that, to be in Hermosa Beach somewhere. Will it be on the pier? Probably. Will it be somewhere else? I don't know. And those details haven't been officially announced, but based off COO Kevin Demoff's comments, it's happening in Hermosa, which is not very far away from SoFi Stadium, everybody. Just down the 105, just follow west, go to the nice, beautiful blue sky, and you'll end up there very fast. So
Yeah,
not too far away. I might go if that's the case. We'll see how that ends up being or where it's going to be. But I think that'd be fun for everybody because we haven't had a ton of those official ones. And again, everyone has their crew, their club, their booster club, their family who they want to watch the draft, and that's great. But remind me if I'm wrong. I don't think the Rams have had a legit one because we haven't had a first-round pick, right? There's nothing to gather for on this big football holiday that is draft day.
And they're going to trade back into the second. Yeah. But
it's probably likely too that's going to happen.
Yeah, and if those of you are unfamiliar with the area, we call that the South Bay, right? Is that Hermosa Beach, Redondo Beach, Manhattan Beach? Really nice area. Lots of nice restaurants. Manhattan Beach has a pier. I think do all three have piers? I think, and really nice stretch. Yes. Yeah, really nice stretch of sand. We've gone down there a couple of times for the. They got a nice comedy club there, and I think it's Hermosa Beach. So you can very easily, spend 2 nights in that area. I sound like I'm working for the Visitors Bureau here for Hermosa Beach, but you can very easily spend a couple of nights there and have a really good time. So you guys want to talk cornerbacks another day? Is that okay?
Sure.
Yeah, I think that'd be a good idea. That's an hour discussion in itself based off who's here, who's coming back, who's not, and then potential.
And I guess the combine could impact at least. Paul's going to be paying attention to the combine. I'll try to find some notes as well. And I don't know if it's going to change Sean McVay's opinion on those top 5 cornerbacks. There's a lot of second round, third round cornerbacks. It's a really deep cornerback draft, isn't it, Paul?
It's a top heavy cornerback draft.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's deep, but it's a top heavy draft. I think if you don't go corner early, you're going to be in a world of pain.
Yeah, but that's a group we've been kind of forgetting about a little bit with the Dotson talk and Demarcus Robinson offensive line. We have right now we need cornerbacks and safety. So let's plan on doing that. Well, unless something really exciting happens over the next week, let's plan on doing talking cornerbacks and safeties next week. How about that?
Yeah, sounds good to me. And real quick, while we were discussing this, I was able to figure out what that onside kick thing is in the XFL. So you have your traditional kickoff in the XFL where everyone's very separated from kicker to kickoff team, right? That 15-yard, 10-yard gap. And if you choose to do a traditional onside kick, then everyone will line up in the traditional spots, right?
So it's like if you're going for a 2-point conversion, you have to alert the other team.
Or I forgot about this because St. Louis Battlehawks pulled this off in this last season of the XFL where you can say, hey, I don't want an onside kick. Let's do the other option, which is we're going to have a 4th and 15 play from our own 25-yard line. And if we convert it, we keep the ball.
Oh, okay.
I forgot about that. I like that.
Yeah. Oh, man. If I'm on the receiving end of that, I'm so nervous if your opponent, the Buffalo Bills, are trying to convert that, they've just scored and they're down by 6, and now they're going to try to convert a 4th and 15. Yeah, that'd be nerve-wracking.
It would, but that is the other.
That would be exciting though.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. I would rather have Matthew Stafford throw to our guys and have a chance for that than an onside kick.
Yeah.
I think the odds. Hey, striker, stretch, or whatever his name is. I'm going to get it right soon, everybody. Sorry. But I wonder what his take would be if that rule was in place. I bet he would be like, yeah, let Glock 9 Matthew Stafford figure it out on that 4th and 15. So if the NFL were to do those XFL rules, I would be in favor of that completely. So anyway,
and especially I think it'd be a big advantage, perhaps. I'm just thinking off the top of my head too. You have quarterbacks like Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes, those types of guys too.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
And it makes sense because now like the way the overtime rules were set up so that the game never ends, right? Right? Because somebody always argues, well, if I had one more possession, if you had one more possession, you should have scored, right? But the bottom line is, it sort of is congruent with the overtime rules, right? And think of a lot of teams. They're like, listen, the opportunities of recovering an onside kick are fairly low, right?
Oh yeah,
it's percentage points basically. So, being able to say, oh, listen, I'll roll the dice 4th and 15. We convert it, we keep it. it's like a little bit of backyard fun as well. So it brings a little bit more excitement to the game. I would be all for that because I would rather do that than an onside kick any time of the day.
Yeah. Onside kicks are, they're,
It's a gamble.
yeah, the success rate so low.
Or we
Okay,
see
guys.
starting to do free kicks again. That would be exciting.
Yeah. Okay, guys, thanks for joining. I really appreciate it. And we'll do this again. And Paul, I'll sync up with you for another mock draft. And Ian, let me know when you're ready. You want to participate in a mock draft, you're more than welcome. I'll always alert you when we're going to do one, and you're welcome to join. And we'll do it.
And Ramley, tune in on YouTube. Check out the day 3 Puka power picks. Some really cool players that fit perfectly on this team.
Yeah, 2 really good videos on the channel right now: the mock draft number 4 and Puka power picks, and we'll get this posted as well. Okay, guys, out here. Thanks a lot.
Double barrel ram horns.
Okay, bye.
That's right, baby. Hey, the season is just getting started.
Yeah,
Free
good
agency is
times.
upon us. Oh, baby, it's time, man.
Give me more in 24, baby.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. There we go.
Okay, guys.